All right, now here we are with a K20 on ITB that's installed on the FD Civic with an M&M body kit straight from Japan. Looks really good. It runs actually decent. I'm gonna start it up. And let's check on the outside. Now we pulled the engine for a refresh because it's been years it's been running, and now here it is on the engine stand. We're gonna disassemble the engine with you guys, even take a look at the ITB and see where we can make more power, make some tweaks. Yes, so let's go, let's go. Okay, first things first. Because my personal Facebook got hacked, I had to make a new page for the shop, and here it is. SRD Motorsports 2. I had to put 2 because the old one still exists, and I can't have it pulled down yet. So we had to make this. We have the price list pinned on the post there. Of course, you can just do the foreign exchange rate and all that. But here you can see on the daily we post stuff there that we do or we work on the shop, and at the same time it's not always going to make all the actual content here, but we still post there all the good stuff. And even here we talk about the runner length or expanding the entry and all the good stuff. So we post daily or almost daily, except for Sundays when we're working at the shop. We actually post there all the good stuff and all the work that we do. So it's actually quite interesting. If you're not watching the videos here at the channel, you can also check it there. So I'll see you guys at the page. Please follow and like the page, all right? And of course, link will be in the description below. See ya. All right, the story of this beautiful Civic is that it used to compete in the car show circuit more than 10 years ago, around 2011, 2012. So this was built for the car show, but of course, they had the engine fully set up this way. It looks good on the car show. It's not just, a hard parker, right? So, yep, I'll walk around before we remove the engine. The owner said this has Wiseco pistons and, of course, Drag Cartel cams. But which one, we'll see. Right now here, the engine stand, the hoist is ready. Pull it off. Yes. Now it's there on the ground. Careful with it. Now it's on the engine stand. Yes. Look at those ITB. They look really awesome, right? Okay. So now let's go disassemble this thing. Okay, now it's my colleague doing his thing, is disassembling the engine. All right, it actually looks really clean on the inside, so this is well maintained. But the owner did say, for a few years he wasn't really using it as much because it had wiring issues. But we tried to check on that. Everything looks good now, so now we're gonna rebuild this and see where we can go, or see how much we can improve. Because apparently the owner wants this to, to jump in power, like make even more improvements, which makes sense because the setup is pretty decent. The owner said he actually made 240 or 245 wheel horsepower before the car show, so that's interesting, right? So let's see if we can improve on that. Okay, now here the bottom side. All right, the oil pump is the standard K20. So you gotta be careful with you don't really force to pry it the girdle out, but just you can pry it a little just to help it, separate evenly. And if this is your kind of video, you gotta hit the subscribe button. This way you can get updated when we do the series, because we're gonna dyno this. It's gonna be fun, right? And of course, hit the like button if it's good for you. It's gonna help the algorithm really much. All right, thank you. And then, of course, we know the crank is actually in excellent condition because, it's a K series. The girdle is just massive, so it's always good. Okay. Wipe this off so there's no oil. All right, there you go. And now it's all disassembled. So let's look around the block. It looks pretty decent because we checked for flatness and it was totally flat, so this is really good. We're just gonna clean this up before final assembly. This way it's gonna be looking good and clean so that it won't rust. So now let's jump to the Drag Cartel cams. Any of you know if there's a specific marking on the cam to say what stage it is, or you know where to check or what to check? Let me know in the comments below because I need to know what stage this is. Some things with the ITB, just makes me want to run them. That's why I have a B series and a D series ITB on the shelf, and I haven't run it, but I can run it soon. All right. Yeah, it looks really good. Has ID 1000 injectors, so that's perfect. Here, let me show you this. We're not gonna really modify a lot on this. We're just gonna try to up the efficiency. So this way, if we can improve the volumetric efficiency of the engine, it's gonna improve power. So look at here, the intake gasket. You see, we can still port match this, but we're gonna check the intake gasket and see how it correlates with the head itself, and then we'll go from there. So there's a room for improvement right here. And the pistons, based on its Wiseco part numbers, this is an 11.7 is to 1 compression piston. That's pretty good, but if I was to choose, I'd run at least 12.5 or 13 is to 1 compression pistons. And but let's see with the owner, because this has been running for, like, let's say more than 10 years, so it needs at least piston rings. We're gonna order that, or if the owner decides, he can jump to an upgraded pistons. That'll be so cool, and for more power. Plus, when I also checked, these pistons are no longer available. They have a counterpart that's newer model. So let's see, maybe we can replace this with some good 12.5 is to 1 or even higher compression pistons. That means we're gonna make significant improvements. So let's see what the owner decides, because we need to change the piston rings. Now onto the PRB head, looking good. Nothing unusual on the head, so it's pretty decent. Here's the exhaust ports. So we're gonna check on that. Everything looks good, looks decent. It's been worked on a bit, but hey, we're trying to get maximum efficiency and even more improvement. So off to the porting bench. Here we are. Now we start with the 80 grit. All right. So we're gonna smooth this out, get the shape so we can see it without the carbon buildup. A lot of times on the B series and K series, we actually don't really go with a carbide on even on the exhaust, because the carbon doesn't is not really thick. So I'm not sure, but on a D series, especially if it's a street car, we usually go with a carbide. I'm not sure, but maybe because the D series it gets often used when it's untuned properly and it still get used. So maybe the carbon buildup there is more significant. I don't know. But here it is, almost done on the roof. Okay, now we invert it. Wait, no, let me show you first. Okay, there you go. Starting to take shape and looking good, right? Okay, now we invert it. We go with the port floors. It's gonna be real quick. See, the carbon buildup is not, it's not extravagant, or it's not, OA, like, extra. So it's pretty good and decent. All right, there you go. Okay, pardon me, guys, because something wrong with my phone, because it didn't hit record when it recorded it, but we did 80 grit on the intake. So now let's go with another phase. I mean, another round of 80 grit. This way we can get the shape or the smoothness really good. We sometimes go with 120, but like doing how we do it, we keep going with 80 grit. We get the smoothness quite there, or quite good. Just as this, you can see it's starting to look good. And of course, because the K series is like a new casting, or like at least new aluminum, you can see it's actually shiny or brighter. Of course, the older engines has, a darker aluminum, or from corrosion. Okay, let's look at close. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, it's starting to look really, really nice. Of course, in the end, we're gonna check with how it matches with the intake gasket. So we'll go from there. But now let's go with the bowl. Yes, now get all the shape good before we go do the chamber cleanup. And of course, lastly, of course, the three-angle valve job. But that's towards the end when we're finished with the head. For now, we're working on the bowl. get the shape really good. And you can see we're spraying lubricant a bit so that we can get the texture good and finish. Of course, so that it doesn't eat up much of the cartridge roll. Okay, now here, let's look at it close. Oh yeah, it's starting to look really, really good. This is gonna be really, really awesome. Yeah. And going back to this earlier photos before we cleaned it up, the rods are actually Brian Crower, so that's pretty cool and pretty decent. So we're gonna check on the torque specs for this so that we can build it properly. And here's the pistons after cleanup. As you can see, it's pretty good. But of course, this is just 11.7 is to 1 compression. So I'm really hoping we can move up to 12.5 or even 13 is to 1 compression. That's gonna be really, really good because this is cammed, and of course it's a K series. It flows really, really good, and of course because of this, the induction is actually really good. So we know that this is gonna breathe properly. So it's gonna be so good. That's why more compression is gonna be even better. And of course, I want to try to measure this from the flange, from the ITB flange all the way to the velocity stack opening. This way we can correlate it to the port length and see the total length from valve seat to stack opening. And so we can see the harmonics of what RPM it's good at or where it's liking specific, you know, range of like on the second harmonic, even the third harmonic. This way we can check it. That is why we're still gonna try to figure out what stage Drag Cartel camps this is because the owner forgot. And of course, I'm gonna ask him again. Maybe he can trace it back on to remember what stage this is, or when he asks his friends, he might remember. And so we'll continue to work on the head to get all the efficiency that we can from it because horsepower is in the heads. That's definitely gonna be good. So this build series is gonna be so fun because the engine is actually running K Pro. So on the dyno, this is gonna be super, super, super fun. So hey, this is just for you guys, right? And since this is a build series, on the next episode we'll be measuring the ITB, get the RPMs correct, and hopefully by then we know what stage this is. And of course, we'll talk about the 4-to-1 header that's locally fabricated. This way we can match the whole system and shoot for the most or maximum power that we can. Maybe it's 250 or maybe higher, who knows? But of course, once episode 2 is done, you can also click it here.